Hello there, you're watching Left, Right and Centre on NDTV. I'm Maha Siddiqui. On the show tonight, day 3 of Assam child marriage crackdown. Over 2,000 arrested. This even as protests erupt over the move. And US shoots down the alleged Chinese spy balloon. China insists it was a civilian airship and vows necessary action to what it calls an overreaction by America. But first up, protests by women have been reported at several police stations in Assam as the government continues its crackdown on alleged child marriages. Women, some with little children, left alone to fend for themselves and their families as the men have been picked up and thrown behind bars. Over 2,000 arrests have been made in around 3 days since the police started its crackdown. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma says that he has zero sympathy in this matter as he considers such marriages amount to rape. But the opposition is now speaking up after seeing the palpable tension on the ground. Assam Trinamool Congress President Ripun Bora has said that the government is setting fire to thousands of families. AIMIM and AIUDF have said that the government has failed in its duty to prevent child marriages and is now cracking down in retrospect. Congress's Gaurav Gogoi says, therefore, that this is a farce. So the question we are asking tonight, the Assam child marriage crackdown, retrospective action tearing families apart or a valid move? Let me now go across to our guest. Dr. Rajdeep Roy, BJP MP and Vice President Assam, will be joining us shortly. Waris Pathan, National Spokesperson of the AIMIM, is with us. Dhananjay Tingal, Executive Director, Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Miguel Das, Founder, Utsa Child Rights Organization, that's based in Guwahati. And Zairul Islam, Spokesperson of the AIUDF. Zairul Islam, coming first to you. What is the objection to what appears to be in keeping with the law? Child marriage is not allowed. Children, underage children, are protected from this sort of an act. The Chief Minister says that he considers such marriages as a license for rape. What is the objection over here? Mr. Zairul,
चाइल्ड मैरिज बंद होना चाहिए ये हम भी चाहते हैं. चाइल्ड मैरिज जो प्रोटेक्शन है इसमें हम एग्री करते हैं, लेकिन चाइल्ड मैरिज जो हुआ है ये अभी जो अरेस्ट कर रहा है ये अरेस्ट नहीं, ये टेरराइज है. ये अरेस्ट नहीं हो रहा है, ये पूरा आसाम को टेरराइज कर रहे हैं. आज पूरा दुनिया हंस रही है और पूरा आसाम का जो लेडी है वो रो रहा है. अगर अरेस्ट करना था, अगर चाइल्ड मैरिज को आपको प्रोटेक्ट करना था तो पहले भी आपका सरकार यहाँ पे था. 2006 से ये कानून लागू है, तब से आप लोगों ने एक्शन नहीं लिया. तब भी आसाम में पुलिस था, तब भी आसाम में सिस्टम था, तब भी आसाम में एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन था. लेकिन क्यों आप लोगों ने एक बाल्क सिस्टम में अरेस्ट करने के लिए आप लोग कितना देर रुकना पड़ा? 2021 तक क्यों रुकना पड़ा? क्यों पहले आप लोगों ने इसको प्रिवेंट नहीं किया? तब आप लोगों ने एक्शन क्यों नहीं लिया? आज आप लोगों ने जब ये टेरराइज कर रहे हैं तो आज आप लोगों का टेरराइज के वजह से, टेरराइज के डर के वजह से आसाम में लोग सुसाइड कर रहे हैं. मैम, लोग सुसाइड कर दिया है, रो रो के पागल हो गए हैं. कोई प्रेग्नेंट लेडी जिसका टाइम हो गया है डिलीवरी का, वो अभी अपना प्रेगनेंसी को संभाले या अपना हस्बैंड के लिए रोए, ऐसा माहौल है. असम में अभी ये हालत हुआ है. लास्ट 36 आवर्स Assam police has been arrested right now. 2044 accused has been arrested right now. ये आप लोग बाल्क सिस्टम में अरेस्ट में क्यों रुका हुआ था?
All right.
क्यों पहले एक्शन नहीं लिया था? क्यों अभी टेरराइज कर रहे हैं?
You've raised quite a few questions. Let me go across to Dr. Rajdeep Roy, who's here with us, sir. First, let's get some facts clear from your end. What cutoff age are you looking at in this for marriage? Is it 18 or 21 for women? What are the grounds on which and how is it being determined? What documentation is being used to check this child marriage, basis which these arrests are being made?
Look, the topic is very pertinent because Assam is going through a bit of churning socially since the last few days. As per the laws of the country, the marriageable age for girl is 18 years, after which she can give consent to a marriage. For the boy, it is 21 years. So as on today, the deadline is 18 years. Whatever has been proposed, not been passed in the parliament, is not under the purview of this discussion. Number one.
All right.
This law was passed 2007 when Congress was in power. 2012, POCSO was passed in the parliament, and since November 2012, it came into power. Now, below 14, it is a criminal offense to give a girl to marriage. And after 14 to 18, obviously, legally, it has to be proved by a lot of x-rays that the girl has passed the age of 18, and then she can give her consent for the marriage. So that is the legal standing. I know that all the panelists today are aware of this. But what has happened in Assam is very important. Since the days of Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, this societal things was also, this thing on them. There was stone pelting on Vidyasagar ji. There was social ostracization of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. 150 to 200 years down the line, we now think they were great social reformers. They were thinking ahead of the times. Now, coming back to the present day and the United Nations organization, the social development indexes that are used to judge the development of a society, the maternal mortality rate, the child mortality rate are abysmal in the state of Assam. And that is where our Chief Minister, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, has put this thing on the head of the
All right.
nail.
Dr. Roy, I'll interrupt you there, Dr. Rajdeep Roy, because that is the point that is being raised by the opposition. They are saying you've been in power for 6 years. Are you admitting that the state government has failed in curbing child marriages?
If I tell them that in Assam, Congress was in power between 2001 to 2016, the law was passed in 2007 in the country, and then subsequently again in 2012. What did they do to implement those laws and prevent those child marriages? Now, arrests are taking place of marriages which happened after 2018, which is 3 years. Now you tell me, if we do not act, the perpetrators of this crime to book for the last 3 years, do you want me to go back around the 15 years back when Congress was in power?
All right.
So
Varis Pathan. Okay, sir, I'll interrupt you there. I want to go back to one other opposition party leader over here, Varis Pathan. Dr. Rajdeep Roy there is saying that at some stage we have to take action to set an example. Well, how would you respond to that?
Well, Maha, the BJP has lost on its priorities, and they have made a law without proper application of the mind, without saying whether it will be retrospective effect or prospective effect.
The law was made by the Congress. The law was made by the Congress in 2007, passed in the parliament.
Sir, I was listening very quietly when you were making your point. If I am wrong, you kindly correct me after I finish my points. Please, thank you so much, sir. Now, coming back to what has happened into Assam. Now, today also, what has happened was a young girl with her 2 infants. She committed suicide, apprehending that her father might be arrested and she would be sent to jail. Now, who will look after those infants? Who is responsible for the suicide committed by the girl? What measures has the Assam government taken to see to it that this kind of girls, if they commit suicide, they will be taken care of? Their husbands will be sent to jail, the parents will be sent to jail. What measures has the government taken to see it that they will be protected? Now, since in Assam, it's almost 6 years since the BJP government is formed. What measures were taken in the last 6 years to prevent these marriages? And 6 years, what did you do? How many schools did you make? Nothing. So that is why I say you have lost on your priorities. You just come before the nation one fine morning and say you will arrest. 2,000 plus people have been arrested in a single day. Where are we heading for?
All right.
And what measures
Nikhil Das is working on the ground. Nikhil Das is working on the ground. I want to go across to him.
Priorities, right? They want to act.
Dr. Rajdeep Roy, I'll come back to you.
Why did they wake up now?
Pathan, just hold on, sir. Very pertinent questions that have been asked with regards to the welfare of these women who have now been left to fend for themselves. Miguel Das, while the action may be in sync with the law, as Dr. Rajdeep Roy is saying, but the end result is that a lot of women have been left without a man to get money for their daily needs. They are with small children. Many of them don't know what to do at this juncture. Do you think the manner in which this has been executed is wrong?
See, I will not make a political commentary here because I am not a politician. I'm a child rights activist. So I have been privy to most of the discussion by the state before this action was planned out. In fact, the entire civil society had a meeting with the Director General of Police where feedback were taken from all these NGOs who were working for years on the issue of child marriage. And apart from the social angle, which is very pertinent here, prevention and rehabilitation, apart from that, all these organizations unanimously stated that for years, there was no effective response, very lukewarm response when FIRs were lodged in police stations. I would not take sides. I am non-partisan as an activist. However, I think it depends on the individual. The Assam Chief Minister is someone who has actually spoken about child protection issues very strongly. Which is a new thing because the general trend is to hide these things right under the carpet. But be it child sexual abuse, be it child trafficking, and now the issue of child marriage. As far as the police is concerned, the police's role, of course, these questions were also placed by me to the Director General of Police, that what would be your action? They clearly say that they have to enforce the law. The feedback that we gave was that...
Miguel Das, you made a point there about the law being enforced, which is all too good and everybody agrees with that. But laws are not made in isolation. Laws are meant for a society. If this is for the good of the women, but the women at this moment do not know where to go and have been left alone to fend for themselves. Dhananjay Tingal, I want to come to you because I understand that many of the reports by the Bachpan Bachao Andolan have been the basis of the awareness that governments now have that child marriages have not stopped. But the child marriages are meant to be stopped for the welfare of the women. In this case, that end result is not being met, is it?
Good evening.
BBA... Is it for me, Maha, or...
That's for Mr. Dhananjay Tingal. Go ahead.
Sir, see, we have launched a campaign on October 16, 2022, demanding from all the state governments that the law should be enforced, FIRs should be lodged. Because we have seen in past so many years since Mr. Roy talked about Raja Morai and Ishwar Chandra Sagar, since that time there have been creation of awareness campaigns are going on. There are lots of efforts are being done by government, NGOs, everyone, social reformers. But it was not bearing any fruits. But child marriages has taken a very different shape. Under the garb of child marriage, the girls were being trafficked, girls were being sexually abused. So even Supreme Court has said that a child marriage, if the sexual intercourse happens, then that is our child rape. So this thing, on this pretext, we launched a campaign on 16th October, which was led by more than 75,000 women across the 200 districts in the country. 17 state governments notified and they participated in that.
Okay.
So there was a thing. And we welcome the move by the Assam government that they are the first person to take a strict action. And it's time. It's time when the governments need to come up and take strict legal actions to prevent atrocities which are happening with the children. And that is what...
But Dr. Rajdeep Roy, coming to you, sir, what measures have been taken for rehabilitation? Was that thought of when this crackdown was being looked into?
Obviously, it has been absolutely on the drawing board. The Chief Minister with his entire team has set across, and then he has already given a public statement.
Varis Pathan, I'll come to you, sir. Let Dr. Rajdeep Roy finish, then I'll come to you. Go ahead, Dr. Roy.
He has, number one, he has taken cognizance that if there are any such cases where the women is approaching the district administration or police, the police and the district administration are preparing a note of all these happenings which are happening. Number one, they have been asked by the Chief Minister and his entire team to give all sorts of immediate relief, starting from rice on an immediate basis, to hand over financial assistance through Arunodoy scheme on a priority basis for all those, medical assistance for all those families and children. All these are being taken care of. And I am 100% sure anyone who's coming under those ambit, that there is no male member to take care of, will be duly taken care of by the Assam government under the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma.
But sir,
one thing
today
I would
is
like
the,
to just add.
Sir, we've
Just
already
one
reached the
little
third
thing,
day
one
of the
little thing.
crackdown. We have visuals running on our television screens as well of women protesting outside police stations. Sir, then why has the situation been reached?
Look, there are counter arguments to it. Now today, the circle officer in Dumduma from Upper Assam has said that if the girls, when they get the win of their marriage taking place before 18 years, they are committing suicide. And 4 such cases has come to light in Dumduma alone. So what they are saying, what Mr. Pathan is saying, the reverse is true in more bigger number. So we have to think for the future. And
No,
I
but
am
sir,
sure
I'm
the
asking you
Assam
about the protests. I'm asking you about the protests. Women are standing outside police stations and protesting.
These are political protests. These are political protests. The most of the female, you talk to them individually, all of them are happy.
Zahirul Islam, are these
The
political
activist
protests?
Mr. Das has just now said,
It
this is a
it
well thought of
it is not
action.
political
This is a well thought of
protest,
action and it has been
it
happening. This is in the pipeline for the last few months.
Okay, Dr. Roy, let
government
Zahirul
has come
Islam
to power, it is
respond.
just 1.5
Zahirul
year,
Islam ji,
1.5
Dr.
year now.
Rajdeep
So
Roy
obviously
कह रहे हैं
everything will
ये
take its time to come.
पॉलिटिकल प्रोटेस्ट है, राजनीतिक प्रोटेस्ट हैं ये.
Exactly.
बिल्कुल नहीं है, यहाँ पे कोई राजनीतिक प्रोटेस्ट नहीं हो रहा है. यहाँ पे जो पीड़ित है, उनके जो बीवियां है, वो प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है. उनका जो घरवाला है, वो प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है. ये सब निकल के आ रहा है. लेकिन मेरे
If you talk to any of the females here, individually, they will say on the inside, what government is doing, we are supporting it.
Exactly. Total Assamese regional media is showing that. I am not saying that from my side. It is totally showing by Assamese regional media. So I have one question for Honorable Rajdeep Roy.
One little point.
Sir,
You need to build up a narrative on the deterrent. You need to build up a narrative on the deterrent. If the society is not fearful of the law being implemented by the government,
All right, just a second. Varis Pathan, Dr. Rajdeep Roy is saying, just a second, Zahirul Islam, just a second. Zahirul Islam, मैं आपके पास फिर से आऊंगी. मैं
Please
एक
do not
सेकंड.
make it a Hindu-Muslim issue. Please do not make it a Hindu-Muslim issue. It is not a religious issue.
Dr. Rajdeep Roy, just a second. Zahirul Islam ji, एक सेकंड रुकिए. Varis Pathan, you know, as we've seen, there's a report by Bachpan Bachao Andolan. They are clearly saying that this is not just a question of marriage of underage girls, but there is a very serious issue of trafficking of young girls as well, which is involved. And that is why they have sent these reports to state governments. The state governments need to act. Now that a state government is acting, and I asked you that earlier as well, you said there were reasons why you all are opposing it. But on the ground, if you're alleging a bias, is there any evidence to suggest that only one certain community is being targeted? Because here it appears, from what the government says, it's against anybody who has indulged in this sort of a marriage.
In our country, there is a law which takes care of the illegal trafficking of girls. If my learned friend does not know, let me remind him. There is a law to curb that menace. There's a law if somebody is carrying on illegal prostitution activities,
Pathan, there
he
are
could be
so
arrested.
many laws in the country. At the end of the day, many loopholes are utilized, and you are well aware of that.
May I ask Mr. The BJP spokesperson from Assam, who is sitting here, the member of parliament. Today, the girl committed suicide, leaving her 2 infants, saying that she was apprehending that her father would be arrested and she will have no place to live. What will happen to her life? She committed suicide. Now, will your government be charged for abetment to commit suicide? Who is responsible for her suicide? And there are several girls. What we are seeing on the social media and what I'm seeing the visuals, just now one person said that this is politically motivated. Sir, do you see anybody carrying a placard of any political party? No, they have come out of their own and they are against this kind of inhuman treatment which is meted out to them because they know their future is dark. Where will they go? The marriage is not abandoned, marriage is there, she is married. But
Shaheen Bagh also
Assam
we did not
government
see.
earlier, they
Shaheen
are
Bagh also
All
we
right.
did not see
We are
political
completely
playgrounds.
running out of time. Since the question has been asked to Dr. Rajdeep Roy, I'll give you 30 seconds, sir, to respond to what Varis Pathan is saying.
Political flags.
Where is the political class? Show me. Show me. Are they
Shaheen
carrying
Bagh
any?
also we
They
did
have
not
come on
see
their own.
political
And
flags.
one thing let me
But
tell
we
you,
know
the
who
BJP
was
government
behind
is
it.
Assam is
We know who was
anti-minorities,
behind it.
anti-Muslim.
And I tell
Earlier
you,
also
Miss
we saw they were against our madrasas.
Siddiqui,
All
I
right,
just like
Varis
to end
Pathan,
by
just
one
hold
thing.
on. Just
I
hold
would
on,
like to
Varis
end
Pathan,
by
just
one
hold
thing.
on, sir. We've run out of time completely. Dr. Rajdeep Roy, please, in 30 seconds, respond to the charge that has been made by Varis Pathan.
You are trying to harass them.
Varis Pathan, give him 30 seconds.
Nobody is trying to harass anybody. The government is on a definite path
I am right. That is why you
root
want to
out
stop
this
me from
social
making my
evil and malice.
To answer to my
Nobody
question,
is doing
whether the state government should
any
start for
abatement
All
of
right.
suicide case. Government
All right,
is there to
we'll have
implement
to
the
leave
law,
it at that.
rules and
We'll have to leave it
regulations.
at that. We've completely run out of time. The government says that they had to take this necessary step to crack down on child marriages. The opposition says that the manner in which they've gone about this is not in sync with the welfare of the women. With that, let's move on now to our other discussion that we are doing this evening. This is with regards to the balloon, the spy balloon, as US alleges that it has now shot down the Chinese spy balloon off the coast of Carolina. The balloon that was hovering in the region in and around the US for 7 days now. China said that it repeatedly told the US that the balloon was no spy device but a civilian airship, and has reacted angrily, saying that it reserves the right now to use necessary means to deal with similar situations. The US believed it to be an espionage device, stating that it started off from the Aleutian Islands, it flew over Alaska, then moving into Canadian territory, back into America in Idaho, and then Montana, finally being shot down off the Carolina coast. China has called it overreaction rather, but reports suggest that President Biden's first inclination was to take it down as a security measure. That's our second discussion this evening. Let me go across to Andrew K.P. Leung, independent China strategist. Andrew, the US has taken the step finally after 7 days, shot it down. China has reacted sharply to it. Do you see this as a setback in what was being looked at as a possible move forward in the relationship, with Antony Blinken's visit to China, which has now been postponed over this issue?
This is really an unfortunate incident because both sides did want to mend the relations with President Xi reported to be contemplating hosting a dinner for the visiting Secretary of State Blinken. Be that as it may, according to Chinese reports, it's a civilian airship, but now it's been shot down. There is no doubt that the United States would analyze the debris and to release a statement as to what they have found. But I think that this is unlikely to derail the relationship entirely, because both sides want to mend fences, even though the relationship would not return to what it was, say, a couple of years ago, because China has been identified as an existential threat to the American-led order. But nevertheless, the Biden administration want to put guardrails in this relationship. So this incident is unlikely to change things.
All right. Raymond Vickery, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce and Senior Associate Center for Strategic and International Studies, is also joining us on the phone line. Raymond Vickery, why was the first reaction from the U.S. To bring down this balloon?
Well, thanks for having me. I think that this shows the disconnect in terms of China and the United States. China has once again exhibited its capacity for blundering. The sending of a spy satellite over the United States just before the meeting of Secretary Blinken is a blunder of monumental proportions. It seems to me that it was not intended really to disrupt anything, but is purely an illustration of the kind of problems that are included when you do not have a regularized relationship. And it seems to me the Chinese are going to have to get their act together so that these confrontations do not spin out of control.
All right. Andrew, China says that it repeatedly told America that this was a civilian airship. But what concrete evidence did it really provide to America so that it is not suspected to be a spy device? Because that's a real concern for any country if there is an object that's hovering around its territory for days.
Whether it's a meteorological surveillance airship or balloon, or whether it's a military kind of device, would depend on the finding after the analysis of the debris, now of the shot down balloon. But then the reality remains that large countries, including the United States and China and Russia and other countries, regularly send over satellites to monitor other countries, not only satellites, but perhaps even spy planes, in the case of the United States, flying over airspace of other countries. So this is quite regular, but this is unfortunate in the sense that it is a kind of even high altitude balloon, but even high altitude balloon is considerably lower altitude compared to satellites, especially when it's flying over sensitive areas like Montana, which is reported to host the anti-continental ballistic missile silos. So I think that this is going to cause some problems on both sides. But as I said, it's unlikely to derail attempts to mend fences. I think that after this incident has died down and the United States completed the analysis of what the debris is, there is a chance that talks may resume maybe in a month or two's time.
All right. So you're hoping that the talks might resume, but at the moment, Antony Blinken has said that his visit to China, the proposed visit, has been postponed. So that's the first diplomatic fallout, though, that we've seen. Many thanks, Andrew, K.P. Leung, and Mr. Vickery for joining us, Raymond Vickery for joining us here on the show.